Welcome everybody to a brand new episode of the Coastal Fitness Podcast, and I have one of my favorite colleagues by my side, Babs Clancy. I don't want the other colleagues to get jealous,
Yep.
but you're definitely up there. Welcome.
Thank you.
And we're going to talk today about training during pregnancy,
Yeah.
right? So could you describe the landscape surrounding information around training during pregnancy?
Yeah, I think overall it's definitely improving. But I know a few years ago when I was pregnant, it was very much the information was very vague. It was listen to your body, okay? Do what you've always been doing. Kind of you've been exercising before you became pregnant, then just carry on doing it. There's your green light to go. And then I suppose a little bit more Asia-wide, it might be a little bit of confusion around whether exercising is good for you as a mother or for your growing baby.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, it's kind of risky, maybe better for you to take it really easy and not exercise.
Yeah, so there's a lot of information and a lot of mixed messages.
Yeah.
Could you maybe kick off by presenting us why training during pregnancy could be beneficial to you or is beneficial?
Yeah, I think there's many benefits to training while you're pregnant. Again, it's kind of a broad scope of what type of exercises, whether it's walking outside, swimming, whether you like to go to yoga or you're a spin person, or obviously more specifically to us, it's kind of weight training, a bit of conditioning. I always think, overall kind of mind and body come into play, and I feel like just exercising is just good for your soul, it's good for your well-being,
that's nice.
and I feel like it just keeps you going with all these changes that are going on in your life. In terms of improving your posture, improving your body awareness, improving your strength, those three things alone are gonna hopefully carry over to you while you carry your baby. Obviously it's a 10-month process. You kind of start and there's not many changes, and by the time you get on to 10 months and your due date, you've got this bump that maybe has come out here, and so just being more aware of your posture and having the strength to be able to maintain good alignment is going to hopefully carry you over to the birthing process and the recovery process afterwards. I think just that body awareness is going to hopefully have huge amounts of carryover.
And there's a couple of other physical benefits.
I think
exercise.
it's again a big generalization, but you kind of increasing your chances of carrying your baby all the way through. Okay, so to full term. You're reducing your risk of gaining excessive weight, and then reducing your risks of developing gestational diabetes. Okay, so that's a diabetes developed while you're pregnant.
Wow. All right. Awesome. So exercise is great, right? And training can be relative, and it also depends on the stage you are at during your pregnancy. Could you speak more about that?
Yeah, I mean, training should really meet your lifestyle demands. Okay, so whatever your demands are, the training that you're doing hopefully is going to be supporting and helping you develop in that area. Obviously in the pregnancy, there's kind of deemed to be like 3 trimesters. So at the very beginning, trimester 1 or your first trimester, a lot of women will experience like huge levels of fatigue. Like you're so tired. It's really strange, like a really strange feeling. Some people have morning sickness, and when they say morning sickness, that could be all-day sickness, and it could be evening sickness, it could be morning sickness. So things like that. There could be, real kind of cravings for certain types of foods, type of beverages, and also kind of aversions to different types of food, different types of drinks, and that kind of thing. So that's kind of in your first trimester. As you move through into your second trimester, you're kind of typically a little bit more settled. I feel like energy levels kind of come up a little bit than when you first kind of found out that you were expecting. Obviously, you've kind of, even if it's a planned pregnancy, it's still a big kind of mental change in terms of a shift. So I feel like in the second trimester, you're a little bit more kind of settled and prepared for what's happening, okay, compared to the first few weeks. And then as you go through into your third trimester, obviously you're gaining this weight, your body is changing because this bump is sort of growing. Energy levels might start to dip again, okay, and people might find just with the changes in hormones to be able to prepare you for the birth. There's just shifts in your kind of pelvis, your pelvic position. People might be experiencing a little bit more kind of back pain just from the posture that they're standing in. And yeah, so those are the kind of main changes along those three.
Yeah, so there's like 3 different stages.
Yeah.
Awesome. Something that was really interesting was the why behind training that women need to realize. So while they're training during their pregnancy, they need to realize something very important. And can you speak more about that?
So I think we chatted about it before. It's kind of, from that athlete who is, a stay-at-home mum, a working mum, someone who hasn't really trained very much before, compared to a high-end kind of nearly professional athlete, say in a CrossFit realm, or even preparing for like the Olympics or something like that. There's this whole broad spectrum of ladies who are going to become pregnant in their experiences of exercise. So I feel like it's going to be like a really big mental shift of those kind of athletes who are really pushing performance, and just that shift in what we're preparing or training for now. Probably or hopefully along the way, you're not going to be looking to go, I'm 7 months pregnant and I'm PRing my back squats, for example. It's not that you can't do back squats, it's just going to be your focus is going to be slightly different. So it's just kind of coming to terms with that, especially with those people who are kind of, tougher, kind of have that mental resiliency that they've built up through kind of hours and hours of tough training, where you're kind of like, I'm fine, my hip hurts, but it's not that bad, and they kind of push through. So again, it's kind of that change in mindset, and a little bit of physical, I suppose, of just not kind of going to that point where you're kind of, gritting your teeth and just pushing past the point of kind of exhaustion.
Is there any kind of indicators, like, let's say a pregnant woman is training, or maybe, let's say for example, you're training, you're doing back squats. Is there a couple of no-goes for people that are training and they're experience certain sensations that could be a sign of, okay, no, I gotta take a step back?
I think this is, I guess, where it gets a little bit tricky, because it really depends. There's going to be some exercises that work great with people who are, say, 5 months pregnant. And there's going to be the same exercise that aren't going to work for a different person. So again, it is very general and depends on each individual and their stage. But things that you might be looking for is kind of any compensations, for example. So what I mean by that is if I'm back squatting and I'm starting to shift my hips in all sorts of directions to come out of my squat, it might be, okay, we're going to reduce the range. So instead of doing a back squat, I'm going to put a box behind that's going to control my descent and my range of where I'm going to stop, and then come back up again to allow really good form, but no kind of compensations. Other things might be any symptoms that you might be kind of starting to experience, and that might be any kind of leaking, any kind of prolapse, any kind of pain or discomfort, any kind of heaviness that you're kind of feeling like it's kind of heavy in this area, I suppose, it's kind of pressing down. And any kind of breathing pattern changes. If you're literally, really struggling to breathe and it's kind of stopping you from moving freely and well, then it might be a sign to sort of scale, and whether that's, reducing the load, reducing the range. So there's a couple of things that you can just be on the lookout for.
Great, I love that. So I love this framework that you set up in the selection of exercise. So in exercise selection, could you speak more about that?
Yeah, I think pregnancy is just another exercise consideration. It's not like, oh, you're pregnant, so these are the 5 exercises that you're allowed to do. But at the same time, I like to think about it, and this was for myself, but also kind of with clients too, kind of can I versus should I? You kind of have that sort of when it comes to moving around or choosing an exercise. I play hockey, and so, for example, at 5 months pregnant, can I play hockey? Yeah, I probably can. I probably wasn't that big that my bump wasn't getting in the way of me holding my stick. But should I? For me, no. I shouldn't be doing that, because there's so many things in the sport of hockey that are just out of your control. You're playing with a stick, you're playing with a hardball with other people who are involved in the game, and things can happen. Another thing that I like to look at is when you choose an exercise, is kind of the risk versus reward of that movement. So again, we bring that back into the gym. You know, in CrossFit, there's a lot of box jumps. You know, kind of 7 months pregnant, the risk versus reward of doing a box jump. You know, you kind of have to weigh that up. As an individual, but also hopefully if you're working with a coach, they can try and hopefully advise you. You know, again, there's, you know, the impact of landing on the floor or the box. There's that kind of middle portion where even if you're not pregnant, there's a chance of tripping on the box. So again, compared to a step up where you're kind of in control of the whole movement, it's a lot more balanced. You've got at least 1 foot connected to the floor, 1 foot connected to a box. And it's still going to have great carryover to improving your strength. It's just not an explosive movement.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. One of our last topics that we're going to cover today, thank you so much for your time, by the way, is do you have any advice for coaches that are dealing with or working with pregnant women?
Yeah, I think to start with, it's kind of knowing your scope of practice.
Yes.
So just because you are a qualified personal trainer, it doesn't mean you're qualified in all aspects or areas of fitness. So either whether that's, you know, you've got someone who's come to you for help, and that's you kind of doing your research, finding out more information about things that you might not know, training someone who's pregnant. It's, you know, like we said, knowing your scope, kind of if someone's coming to you with a problem that you don't feel comfortable advising on, it's outsourcing, you know, creating kind of a network or a team of people to basically support your athlete or your client, to give them the best information, the best training methods going forward, because, you know, often you're the person they've come to help them. Okay, so you're, you know, setting them up well for obviously their full pregnancy, but hopefully for their birth and for their recovery. You know, hopefully if your muscles are functioning well, you're getting good nutrition, you know, you're getting good quality rest. That's going to set you up obviously during your pregnancy, also going forward. You're going to be able to hopefully recover a lot better postpartum. Yeah.
Awesome. Great. Is there anything you want to add to this conversation? Where can we find you on Instagram?
On Instagram, I'm at babs.cfpt.
Good.
And yeah, my email is babs@coastalfitnesshk.com.
Awesome. Great. Thank you so much for your time, Babs, and looking forward to our next conversation.
Me too.
Thank you.